What's up, Juventini? Welcome back to the HAC, your channel dedicated to Juventus, and it is another victory show, our favorite shows, all right? And we've got a packed house here. Lex joins the crew today for this one. Great seeing you. We got Anth. So excited from that game yesterday. Decided to never take off the track top there, and then
there's an echo.
There's an echo.
Yeah.
Somebody got the feed on something else? No?
Sounds good to me.
No.
Sounds good to me, man.
Okay, it stopped now. It stopped now.
Well, it completely ruined the...
Yeah, way to go.
Bear Jew completely ruins the intro.
Yeah, so I was going to say we're joined by, obviously, Lex, Anth, and the Hebrew Hammer, or Bear Jew, whatever you prefer for Omer here. But thank you. Thank you for that. So no echo according to the live chat. We're going to keep it rolling, everybody, okay? So a great start to Champions League. A great victory here, 3-1. Unfortunately, today, very quiet in the news, but the one piece of news we do get, as we see here, is Toto Schillaci, unfortunately, has passed away. And for the older heads, obviously, he was pretty iconic and led a lot of Italian fans, Azzurri fans, to dream during 1990 and everything. But Omer does have a piece that we want to start the show off with, just reading in terms of Toto Schillaci and some who may not be familiar or whatnot. So go ahead, Omer.
Yes, so I'm translating it as I'm reading it, so I hope it will be understandable.
Transparent to the listeners.
Yeah, 1990s World Cup, an unexpected hero for Italy. In the first game, Italy hosted Austria, and they just couldn't score. Then 15 minutes to the end, Salvatore Schillaci was brought on, 26 at the time, only played one season for Juve after a few seasons in the lower leagues. And after 3 minutes, he heads it home, and all of Italy falls in love with him. In the third game against Czechoslovakia, he got the starting shirt and scored after 9 minutes again. In the round of 16 against Uruguay, he scored another one from distance and added an assist. In the quarterfinals against Ireland, he scored the winning goal, and he was just living life, enjoying that World Cup. At the semifinals, Italy faced Argentina, and he scored again, but the match ended with a draw at the Sao Paulo, and Maradona basically won it on penalties, and Schillaci said he just sat for 2 hours in the dressing room smoking and crying.
Hell
He gave Italy the third place with a penalty against England.
Yep.
And got for himself the capocannoniere of the World Cup. Afterwards, he had less of his career wasn't all that shiny. He moved to Japan after a few seasons, riddled with injuries. But that World Cup, he became a legend. And Toto Schillaci, unfortunately, we lost him to colon cancer. So rest in peace, and we'll keep living your memories.
Yeah, it was scored spectacular goals in a short period of time for Juventus as well. A lot of pictures of him with Roby Baggio as well. It was a pretty awesome crew around that time, and everybody that would remember him. For the ones that are too young, and I come in a few years after and a few years later, but Toto Schillaci was an incredible player to watch. He could make a goal happen out of nothing. If you watch some of the highlights, I tell you, go check it out. He scored some absolute bangers, a lot of bikes out of nowhere from Toto. So yeah, he was exciting. So it's sad news. So rest in peace. Thoughts and prayers with his family during this time. I believe he leaves behind 3 children. So yeah, obviously thoughts and prayers with them. The other piece of the news, as now we move on and shift focus to our first team, Gatti, a bit of an ankle injury, however, went through recovery today. Absolutely standard. No issues going through all that. He's on a day-to-day basis. There is, right now, no concerns about the Napoli game, which is next on deck, which we will, of course, get to. Okay? So, the 3-1 beatdown on PSV in the Champions League opener. All right, 3-1 prediction. Hey, right here. 3-1 prediction. Nailed it.
Damn it.
Chalk another one up for this season, okay? But my boy Vlahovic did not score, and we will talk about Vlahovic. Is still a little bit of a focus there in the storylines in the aftermath, the day after this game. You could see here, should Juve be feared? Announcers, commentators, everybody making something out of this game, and, it's up and down like we know, okay? The highs are high, the lows are low. So we're going to balance it all out today and talk Champions League. Now, what I do find funny is that based on all the platforms from my prediction video, I can officially say TikTok is the most superstitious out of them all, because I pulled this big-eared bastard out for my prediction, all right? And I said, since safe keepings, okay? In safe keepings, we'll do some damage. But, they said, don't you do that. Don't you touch it. Listen, I'm going to say the same thing I say every year. Superstitions are for the weak, okay?
It's true.
Don't worry. Yes. Yes.
And you really should get the actual size version, not the mini version that you have there. Go get the
I
real
know.
size.
I need to get the full size. This mini. It's just not cutting it. Now, the lineup. Going into this one, hey, we had question marks about Weston McKennie. And there was some question marks about what he was going to do up top there. In the end, it's Gonzalez, it's Cole Beiners, it's Yildiz, it's Vlahovic. In the middle, Locatelli with McKennie. And then across the back, as expected, with Kalulu, Gatti, Bremer, Cambiaso, and then Di Gregorio in goal. The big question mark was, how was Big Mac going to do? And, he answered the call, and he rewarded Malta. That was a good showing. But we're going to go through highlights real quick because there's so much in the aftermath of this game, all right? Now, they start off, I'd say the opening 20 minutes is a little bit, like maybe 15. Opening 15, pretty back and forth. But PSV was finding good lanes and good avenues. It seemed like Juve was so aggressive, maybe a little too much aggressive, that they were losing position a bit, and it was opening up spaces for PSV. Their attack is actually decent in build-up and finding the space and lanes. Bakayoko was giving Cambiaso a little bit of trouble in order to find passing lanes and crosses. Nothing crazy, but they looked better for the first 15 minutes. We looked like we were hesitant on the counters because we did have opportunities to go back at them. In the end, they come out with a couple opportunities, a couple shots handled easily by Di Gregorio, so he was allowed to stay awake in this game. But then the 20th minute, man, take a bow, Kenan Yildiz. This goal, that's just a beauty. That's a beauty, okay? And Cambiaso absolutely bombs up the left side to just freeze up that defender enough to make him think that passes could potentially go there, keeps him honest, and just freezes him enough. And it was Ledesma, obviously. Freezes him enough that Keenan can cut, and then that hit is just, what are you going to say? Post and in? Perfect. Unreal.
Well, this is something that Omer brought up yesterday, is that whoever was playing left back or wing back behind Yildiz recently hasn't been offering that support. Cabal's been the guy who would do it, but Cambiaso, to your point, this side now, to your point, he did well on that to free up that space for him. So again, when Yildiz gets that support that Omer was talking about yesterday, looking for it, good things happen.
Yeah. I think I was getting asked a question at work or something, and I was just like, had it there, and then I see this goal, and I'm like, holy shit, and I'm just doing one of these, and they're like, what happened? I was like, nothing to do with work.
Nothing to do with you.
Unreal. Just lost it.
Stop with your questions.
But fantastic. He was just, and remember, we were talking about this after the last game, and remember all the talk was he can't play left wing. He's got to be in the 10 and whatnot and all this, and I'm like, what I kept saying was, it depends on how the game plays out. He can absolutely play anywhere across the top. It's just, it's not going to be apples to apples. And we called this in the pregame to this game. We said there's going to be space. And what did I say? We will see a stronger looking Juventus because the Dutch are going to play us straight up. And they tried to. They did their thing, and they suffered. And we'll get to that later on. But yeah, unreal. And then from there, Once that goal went in, it seemed like everybody just picked it up. We started maybe a little bit of a lull after, nothing crazy, but we just started cooking. 3 minutes later, Colt Miners with a great ball right along the carpet. McKennie taps that thing trying to poke it to the far post. That's actually a great save. That's a great stop there, keeping it at only 1-0 there. Immediately after that opportunity, Locatelli puts a beauty cross back the opposite direction, and Colt Miners almost taps that one home. So we could have been, we should have been 2-0 immediately. That's okay.
That was a tough finish, but he redirected it. Like, if that was on net, there's no way that goalie's stopping that.
Oh, yeah. And we didn't have to wait long. 26 minutes. Nope. Look at that switch field from Colt Miners to Gonzalez. Oh, my God. Man, unreal. Perfect switch. Hits Gonzalez, who does the rest. Beats his man, flips it over him, runs it into the area. I don't think Vlahovic actually touched that thing for the assist. I think it was the defender cover, but that's okay. We're not going to say anything there because it ends up on McKennie's foot and he puts it home, and there's a little wizardry celebration there. I'm not a Harry Potter fan, so it does nothing for me, but good for him. Good for him.
I am.
You are. There you go. There you go. Man,
highly recommend.
44th minute, a weird cross in, takes a bounce, and like on a volley, like half volley, Colt Miners almost tucks one in to the back post as well. Could have finished that half 3-0. We go into half, we come out of the half, and we don't have to wait. All I said was get that third, seal it up, and let's coast. Let's coast and let's get out of this thing. I still wanted the clean sheet though. 51st minute, this is a lovely goal all around. Stripping the ball in the middle of the pitch with some good pressure. 1-2 between Yildiz and Vlahovic. And that pass from Vlahovic to Nico is awesome. That's a great pass. Splits the two defenders, catches him on the run, and that's a beauty finish from Nico. Not an easy one as it looks. He popped it perfectly over keeper's shoulder. That's 3. From there, a few opportunities for Di Gregorio to kind of deal with. Nothing too crazy. He made one, probably the most difficult save on Sabati in the 73rd minute. Vlahovic in the 84th had one on a platter from Cope. That's got to go in. That would have went a long way for his mental state.
Where the goalie stacked the pads and stayed with his nuts
right along the carpet from Colt Miners. He's running clear in on goal. He's got to tap that one home.
Flip that over.
Yeah, you got to find a way to put that one in. We'll talk about that. 90th plus 3 is where we concede, and this one frustrates me. It's Sabari who was the only one getting opportunities late in the game, and Danilo and Kalulu, little bit of a mix-up there. They get that one. Goal differential may or may not be a factor later on in the Champions League. We'll see, but it would have been nice to get that clean sheet. It is what it is. We still move on with a solid 3-1 victory. Now we get everyone's kind of overall thoughts before focusing on player performances, okay? But Lex, your thought on this game, did it go exactly how you thought it would?
Wow, I mean, what can I say? What a nearly perfect opening match for us. Having the Champions League back at the stadium, Juve back in the Champions League. I was excited for the match yesterday, and honestly, they exceeded my expectations. I thought it was a great game, especially the fact, as you mentioned, Berto, in your great game recap, that we could have honestly won that match by 5 or 6. Easy. Yeah. So, but I thought that the opportunities that did go in, we had 2 debut goals. Like, that's awesome, from Gonzalez and Yildiz. And, I mean, Yildiz scoring a la Del Piero, like, what a perfect match for him. As you mentioned, huge performances all around. Honestly, not much to say. I said other than that ending where I wish we hadn't conceded. I actually had to miss that final part of the match because I had to leave early for an appointment. And then I go on Twitter after and I'm like, what? We conceded? I'm thinking, oh, I'm not going to miss much. They're just going to ride this one out. But unfortunately not. But otherwise, like I said, overall, a great game. I thought that the fact the game was more open allowed them to play and truly have fun. It was entertaining to watch. It was great.
Yeah. Absolutely. And you could see in the chat here a lot of frustrations on conceding that goal because goal differential will potentially be a factor in difference. Imagine it comes down to one goal and you're either in the playoff for round of 16 or cleared for round 16. That would be annoying to concede that way in the 93rd minute. But who's to blame? We got a lot of shouts for Danilo here. It was a mix-up between Kalulu and Danilo, but this is exactly why I said I wouldn't have started him when the rumors were there that he could potentially be in there. I go, he's got to get minutes with these guys. You've also got Kalulu out there. What are we going to do? We're going to put him at center back. You've also got Gatti and Bremer who are just cooking. I can't say I'm shocked that it happened. All the guys that are coming in now in rotation have to be solid to keep getting nods and keep getting those minutes. For Danilo, sadly, I think it's going to affect him. Kalulu had a strong game, and you could see where the mix-up was. But Danilo, he let that guy go just banking that Kalulu was there without even actually knowing or any kind of communication. So it's a bit of an issue there. But Omer actually felt otherwise on that goal conceded. But your overview on this game?
I didn't mind the goal so much. I don't have a lot to add. I see that everyone here is kind of in the same feelings, exactly like Lex said. We're happy, we're elated. What a way to get back into the Champions League. What a nice watch that was. Just a fun game. Lots of opportunities. We had like 15 shots on goal. I think 6 on target. McKennie could have had 2. He had another great opportunity that he blasted the keeper. And just the tactics, it's like the 3rd time now that Mota starts someone out of the blue and he scores after Mbangula and Savona. So we keep questioning him and he keeps answering. But Juve were a lot more, the chemistry was just there. The movements, the passing was crisp. I mean, it was just a joy to watch. And yeah, I know it's Eindhoven and it's not the best of Europe, but I don't care. Like a 3-1 win is a good Champions League night, a good watch, and I really enjoyed it. I'm not getting into players too much, but even the subs, they were great. Fagioli was
we're
awesome
getting into players, all right. We're getting into players. Don't you worry.
I want to highlight Fagioli because he had a short cameo, but I think it was great in that cameo. And just one last thing, Dusan, although he didn't score, I thought he had a very good game.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
That wasn't the feeling around Twitter, but I thought he had a very good game.
He had a good. I honestly think you're gonna struggle if we're gonna go through tops and flops. I think you're gonna struggle to find a flop in this game, to be honest, based on all the performance. Despite what I said about Danilo on the goal allowed, he was good otherwise. But I just think that kind of stained it. But Anth, your overview before we get into tops and flops here.
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to say Tech would have saved that, but I didn't know. Someone was saying I would say. I'm just saying.
I agree. The reaction wasn't what I expected.
Before we get into the players, I'd like to say I thought the referee did a great job. He was not involved whatsoever. We had some doubts in the pregame, but
he let him play. I thought early on it was a little cagey, and he didn't call anything. He just let them go.
Right. He just let them go. Wasn't dictating the game at all. I thought that was great. And then, I guess we can just get into players. That's all I really have. I thought everybody played well, but I got one person who I think stood above everybody else.
All right. Well, let's get into it, and you could kick us off then on tops of flops. So, man of the match for you. And I know that Yildiz ended up getting the official.
He did.
It was Kenan Yildiz, and obviously, what are the odds? And now, for record, that is not Del Piero's first. It was against Borussia Dortmund. That was his actual first. But, I mean, come on. It's out of Del Piero. It's Kenan Yildiz Champions League debut. And he actually breaks Del Piero's record for the youngest Champions League goal scorer for Juventus. It's incredible. And he got the official man of the match. I will say this. That little trend that was going around there for a while, I think Yildiz has the worst hair on the team, personally. That's just me.
No,
that's just me.
No.
I think it's rough, man. Him and Fagioli actually, I think is rough. Fagioli's a little weird center part, friggin' sort it out, boys. Sort it out, lads. Okay, it's borderline mushroom cut pretty soon. Now, Ant, you're man of the match.
It shouldn't come as a surprise because I said this in the pregame. We go as this guy goes. Now, everybody had a great game. And there was goals and assists. Coop Miners was an absolute beast yesterday. He was everywhere. I think he ran the most. He was a little over 12 or a little under 12 kilometers ran. He was, for me, head and shoulders the best player on the field compared to anybody else. He was doing everything yesterday.
Colt Miners was...
And for me, it wasn't even close.
He looked so smart as far as the awareness goes. Positional awareness. It was amazing. But he ran his bag off too defensively, putting in a lot of grunt work. He's definitely in a shout there. And for Anth, he's clear cut above the rest. All right. There you go. There you go. Now we're going to go top bins over here to Lex. Who's your man of the match?
Ooh, I'm going to have to go. I think, Berto, I saw you say this in the group chat as well, so maybe I'm going to be twinning with you, but I'm going to have to go with Lex FC. Nico Gonzalez has got to be my man of the match, purely for his creation of the McKennie goal. I mean, the flick over the defender, catching it on the other side, his work rate, his own goal. Like, 2 out of the 3 goals were purely, he had a huge part in them, so I had to give it to Nico.
There you go. Nico was great. And you see a lot of Colt Miners. You see Big Mac getting some shouts for playing well, but not man of the match. Kalulu looking good. Nico's in there. Omer, who's yours?
Well, could be almost anyone, to be honest. Like, I agree with Ant to some degree. Coop Miners was really the boss of the midfield. He dictated everything. Nico was fire. But let's go different. I want to give it to Kalulu. No, just watching Milan afterwards, having Emerson Royale and what's his name, Calabria, and they actually let him go. He was so solid. He's an angry little kid, right? And he was solid in the first match as well.
Like Luca.
He might be a steal. Like, he might be, money-wise, literally a steal. And, so let's give it to him. I think he deserves it.
There you go.
But everyone.
I'm going to, just because Nico's been said, Colt Miner's been said, Kalulu, I'm going to go, what's awesome, and I'm not actually going to give it to him, but Bremer was solid as well. A lot of clearances, interventions, great numbers. Him and Gatti seem to go back and forth for who's slightly better. They're both rocking it, but they're going back and forth in who's slightly better. I love it. It's almost like there's a healthy competition between the two on just who's going to dominate the clearances and be the guy that game. I love it. But I'm going to go with the guy I'm dying on a hill for, and that's Locatelli. I think Locatelli was unreal yesterday. And the funny thing is, he's doing a lot of the same stuff, but he was poised on the ball and picking his passes. Like he was looking up, but he wasn't rushing. He went back to the keep when he had to. He went out to the wide when he had to. And then when he found those little seams to hit Colt Miners, hit even McKennie when he's up for it, he would do that. He was finding Yildiz too. Loca had a good game. Loca was solid. So I'll show him some love in that one. And if you look at the ratings, I mean, we saw it in the comment here from Akira. It's like, good luck picking one. So Yildiz was at a 7.7. Colt Miners was at a 7.6. Locatelli a 7.4. Bremer a 7.3. Gonzalez was at an 8.1 on his rating. So he was my official one that I tweeted out and spoke about. But you could pick any of them. For flops, I don't have a single one. Despite the goal allow whatever, I'm not going to put a flop on anybody. I think that was a great showing and a great kickoff for the Champions League campaign. Now, we get to the aftermath. So, youngest Juve starting lineup in Champions League at 25 years and 149 days. You talk about Yildiz and Del Piero's interview, everybody saw it, was pretty cool. That moment between the two of them. And Del Piero's words about the 10, flat out, just, why wait? If a guy's showing it on the pitch, reward him. And if he's ready for it. But that's the big question. And people have questions too from one game to the next. It's like, oh, can he be that guy? Can he play on the left wing and whatnot? This game was completely different. It was completely different. It was as we expected. If they want to play Juve straight up, it plays to our hands because we have talented players. So the draw against Empoli, you can't get too low. Okay, we're like, don't get so low. It's just something Mota has to figure out, that low block. This game, we can't go too high. We can't go too high. But I think there was.
Okay.
I think there was something to be said about, did Juve instill some fear if teams want to play us straight up? I think the quality is on display and the way we want to play that maybe they made a bit of a statement. I believe so. What do you guys think?
You said this, I think it was the preseason, the prediction show. You said, just be a pain in the ass. Just be the team that's going to be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And that, I think that's all we're going to be. And that's it. That's, I'm not saying let's finish top 8. I'm not saying, we're going to be fighting for the title, but just be that team that's a pain in the ass.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Omer, Lex, do you think there's a little bit of a fear factor being put out there if you want to play an open game against us?
Yeah, we've said it yesterday. I think the fear factor is kind of back, at least based on the Roma and Empoli matches. And that's a good thing. I mean, we can figure out in the future how to open up tight defenses and teams who park the bus. That we can work on. But when we play Champions League, it's a whole different ball game, and that type of play seems to just work in Europe.
Yeah. Lex?
I think for sure, like Omer pointed out, playing in Europe always seems to ask the team to have that type of play style. The one that's more open, that's more attacking. We see that be more successful as more recently. So I think that definitely watching our team put on that type of performance is definitely going to catch the attention of, fans from different leagues and different clubs. I thought that for once it was nice to see Juve being tweeted about by, more mainstream soccer analysts, more mainstream pages. They kind of put Juve on the map. There had some accounts that I follow that, cover more Premier League and other leagues. They were like, hey, this Juve team, this Malta project looks really good. And it was like, wow, it's like being back in Europe. You forget that now Juve's being on the map again, not like the bad press that we had before in the past. We're kind of back at that established level. So I think there is some sort of fear. Definitely. I think people are starting to notice.
And we could say it. We could say it's sexier. It's sexier football. It's sexier football. Okay.
Our next challenge is Leipzig, which should be one of the 2 tougher games, and they play the same way. And then we'll get a real test of someone, more highly ranked than Eindhoven. It be super interesting. And away, if they can replicate the same performance and be such a hassle for Leipzig as well, we got something going.
There's still work to be done. This game wasn't perfect. Okay, it wasn't perfect. There's still and this was one of my positives coming out of this match as well. What did you hear every single person that got interviewed after this game say? You saw Locatelli, you saw Gonzalez, you saw Koopmeiners, and you saw Mota. We can do better, and we need to be better on the ball and even positionally in moments. That's what I want to hear. Never satisfied. Keep working for these guys. No, they've not achieved a single thing, and that's what we need them to keep thinking. And I love it. It feels, for the first time in a long time, like from top to bottom, everyone's on the same page, and it's refreshing. It's refreshing as fuck, you guys. Okay, I'm just gonna be flat out about this.
Family show, but okay.
We had a storm the barn yesterday that kind of negated the family show thing. I think that was from George. We all remember it. You clipped it.
Oh, yes, I did.
Listen, it's great. This is the first step. making teams have that fear if they want to play a wide open game. Now the next part becomes, hey, what to do when they change up their game plan if they want to clamp it down. And this weekend, we'll talk about that coming up here in a bit, okay? But personnel, I don't think personnel is an issue whatsoever. I was saying that when some players were taking heat. However, there are still concerns about the striker. Milik is expected back for the Napoli game. We'll have rotation in there. Maybe some rotation can also help Vlahovic. But for me, he played a good game, this last one. Let's just keep going and see what develops. As far as the back line, everybody feels now, outside of this game, the back line is locked in. Cambiaso, Kalulu, Bremer, Gatti, is that back line locked in for you?
Well, you need rotation. Eventually, they're going to have to sit.
You're going to have to rotate. But is that 1A?
I would say Cabal's in there. Like
Cabal makes your 1A.
Well, if somebody put him in, they're both 1A for me. If he flips in for Kalulu or vice versa.
For a guy that couldn't make up his mind whether he wanted to come here or not, Kalulu's been fantastic. Like, that guy's the most... I was worried he wasn't going to be able to make a single decision on the pitch, and he's playing fantastic because he couldn't even make up his mind what he wanted to do with his Instagram account, for Christ's sake. The guy has been playing unreal, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Imagine we steal that guy. Oh, my God. Milan might have made a crucial error there, following up in Fonseca as well. But, Lex, is that your 1A backline?
I'm going to have to say so. Yes, but I think Ant pointed out that you can slot in some other guys. I mean, come on, like we said, no goals conceded up until that last, ending of the game. So I think that our backline's been solid all around.
Yeah, absolutely. Omer, that was your man of the match. He's locked in, I think.
Yeah, so far he has. It's really hard to choose. Like, it worked great. The chemistry, the way they pushed up. Yeah. So far it's 1A, but I know, throw in Cabal, throw in Savona. Like, we have options and they're super interesting. I wouldn't mind any of them at the moment.
I think
like, there's not one glaring, guy that just seems like he doesn't fit.
The options are amazing. To have these options are fantastic. Cabal is, like, for me, showed a lot in his matches too, and we're going to need the rotation. That's all great. What do you think? What do you feel? Because I heard this yesterday, heard it on the feed I was watching. I saw it in posts from certain accounts after, labeling Juve the dark horse, a potential dark horse in this tournament. You guys, I think you know what I'm going to say already from what I said a couple moments ago, but how do you feel with them saying that? We'll start with Omer.
Nah, I don't like the dark horse stuff. The dark horse never wins. Like, it's not a goal to win the Champions League. The goal was to go as furthest as possible, and a lot depends on what will happen with the draws afterwards for the quarterfinals and stuff. But no, just game by game. I'm not looking all the way to the final and try to shape our way and see how we're winning. Dark horses don't usually win.
It's also just literally. It's also literally one Champions League game. I just said, like, don't get too low on the Empoli draw. Don't get too high on a PSV 3-1, right? Lex, this dark horse stuff that they're pushing, they're doing their job as media, reactionary, right?
Exactly. It's just, as you mentioned, strong reaction from the media based on our performance. I think we need to take it game by game. Omer, that's a great strategy. And just face up whatever team's in front of us, whatever match is next, and go from there. Because, as you mentioned, Berto, you don't want to be too high or too low with the team.
Oh, yeah. I heard it, and I had to just do, like, a double take. Like, are they really going to stake that claim now after just this? Like, I don't think so. I don't think so. Ant, what do you think when media pulls stunts like that?
Well, I never like being compared to, like, World Cup Switzerland, right? They're always the dark horse, right? No, let's just Lex hit it right nail on that. Just one game at a time, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We're gonna figure it out one game at a time.
And what we've
Learn that
kept
from
on,
Allegri.
what we've kept consistent with, I just want them to be a pain in the ass for everyone they face. That's it.
Agreed.
Speaking of pain in the ass, Antonio Conte, major pain in the ass. That's what's coming up on the weekend, okay? I think if we had questions, which we kind of did, we alluded to it on the Playback TV show, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? Is he going to play a fairly open game? I think we've kind of cemented he's going to play that 5 in his 3-5-2. He's going to lay that 5-man back wall, try to follow the mold from Roma Empoli games, and hit us on counters. I think it's pretty much a given now after the display yesterday that he can't give these guys that kind of space. Do you guys all expect now that's what we're going to see?
Well, it is a home game for us, so he's got no home fans to please, right? So they're going to be just hoping for a draw.
100%. That's his bread and butter too, right?
It is.
Sit back and counter. So, of course, yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah, Lukaku's gonna have his hands full with Gatti and Bremer, and they're
No,
gonna
he won't.
mark him.
He won't because he's 100 times the player that Dusan is.
Oh yeah, right. Should have gone for him.
Right.
listen, this is going to be, again, you go from the Empoli draw, you go to this PSV, expect to go back to a clunky, brutal watch because that's what Conte's going to do. The middle's going to be flooded. The flanks will be, he's going to try and create numerical advantages for himself in defending. It's going to be tough. And Motta, he's going to have to do something like we've been talking about. The struggles were there with Bologna. They just barely saw it. But now, if Juve does this in the open games in Italy, more and more teams are going to do that because they will fear playing us wide open. So he's got to figure it out, and he has to figure it out fast.
I had a storm the barn question, but it's sort of about this. So I'm just going to bring it up now.
Yeah.
It's for you three because you're all smarter than I am. So,
True.
yeah. Is there any concern? I know it's too early to tell. I know the highs and lows. I get it. Is there a concern that Motta's style, and we haven't had this for a while, is there a concern that Motta's style is more suited for Europe than it is for Serie A? You got to win your domestic league. You got to win your domestic league first. You got to build your team to win domestically. Do you three have any concerns, or the chat here, that potentially our team is built too much for a European style of play, and it could hurt us domestically?
I'm okay tackling this first, unless Lex and Omer are ready to fire. Go ahead. No?
No.
I'll say this. One of the things I got a lot of flack for when Motta was kind of mentioned there, and the reason I was going towards Motta was because I actually see him very similar to Max Allegri. I see him as a defensive first coach. I just see him with more ideas in terms of the balance and defense to attack, transition, and all of that. If Allegri could get it done and do it, I see no reason why Motta also cannot get it done domestically. I think also if you're looking at Bologna and what he did, granted, Bologna didn't have that fear factor that teams were clamping down. He only saw that 6 times. He's going to have that now to deal with. I literally think there's 2 ways to fix that. Number one, he's got to be a little bit more brave in terms of numbers. But as these players gel with one another and their chemistry continues to grow, because I do think we have a lot of talent now, especially in the key areas in the midfield. I think it's going to translate back home domestically as well. And I don't have a fear that we are just more European. I actually think we'll be stronger in the European game because it is more open and less teams are going to clamp down like that. Yeah, I think it's going to be just fine. Those are my thoughts. Lex, Omer?
No, I have nothing to add. Like, we have to see how it plays out. There's still a very small sample.
Yep.
So I kind of can't make my mind up right now. We need to see it more. Like we didn't have any really big games to make that call, and we haven't been pushed back or even trailed in a match to see where the team stands, mentality wise. So yeah, I
That's
have to
good.
see some more.
Yeah, absolutely. Lex, anything to add?
That's a great question, Ant, first of all. And I think when you look at the three, whatever, horsemen of young Italian coaches, De Zerbi, Italiano, Motta, I think that Motta was always a preferred option because of his ability to, as Bert always mentions, go through the gears with the team and within a game. Whereas Italiano and De Zerbi catch a lot of flack for being more of that all-out attack with a less of a focus on defense. So I do think that Mota, in general, that his style does have that ability to find more balance in games. I mean, especially looking at our results so far, lack of goals conceded, and even looking at some things he did with Bologna last season, that Bologna wasn't always a thrilling, high scoring match. There were a lot of matches, especially in the second half of the season, where that team was able to clamp down and grind out wins when needed. So I think that even that is important to look at when you're looking at his style overall. And in terms of, is this also sustainable for domestic league play? I think his style is, especially with our back line.
Yeah.
Oh, and
And
there's one more shout out we need to do today in memory of another Lex FC person getting canned. Did all see? Sorry about Lex FC
Oh,
taking
yeah.
a really big hit today.
yeah, De Rossi,
Condolences.
that's just
Condolences,
a
Lex.
terrible, terrible start. But it also, to add to this thing with Mota here, again, it's one of the signs of like what we're trying to get to, that championship team. We went through that a ton because we had that fear factor during the decade of dominance. We had it for a long period of time. Finding a way to edge out those games is like literally the last step because you're going to see it domestically so much. So if we're fighting to become that championship team, you have to find a way to win the games you play shitty. The shitty, clunky games and everything. You have to find a way through that. And that's going to be a step that doesn't come like that overnight. Like that's just chemistry, every guy knowing his role, and the willingness to get your hands dirty when you have to, and that grunt work, right? So somebody's going to have to kind of take that role. And maybe we've got those guys right now, but they just got to find that, right? It is it's pretty in wide open games, but some of those games you got to get ugly. And maybe a McKennie can find a home in some of those games and create some havoc in the area. We'll see. We'll see. But he definitely, I put the tweets out there and I said he's literally going to score because I said I wouldn't start him and all this and whatnot. And he did. And he had a good showing. And honestly, I'm happy for it. I'm happy for it. Now,
Has Mota got a lineup wrong yet?
Yeah.
they say that the draws, the lineups were wrong, and I stand firm. It was not a personnel issue. That's me personally. It hasn't been a
Oh, right.
personnel issue.
Yes.
Mhm.
Execution.
Yeah, it's just the plan. Like, you're not going to beat a low block not sending numbers. It's clear as day. You want to have one guy in the area, and then what? Send a cross in and hope he's going to win against five? What are we talking about? It's got to be better. Got to be better there. And we're going to see it this weekend. That bald bastard. Another bald bastard. Conte. Yeah, he's whatever.
Is it Saturday? The game?
They can transplant the carpet on his back and put it on the top of his head. He's still bald, okay? They can do whatever they want there. He's still bald, okay? Now, storm the barn. Don't be scared to fire away, everybody. We have already got 3 that are in there, and we're going to fire away here, okay? But the fear factor is increasing. I think we know exactly what Conte's going to do. As far as Champions League goes, I got a little bit of a rebuttal yesterday because I said when I expect the center back pairing to get a break is the match against Genoa. Now, they said the match against Genoa is a week after the Napoli game. It makes no sense to break them up. Yes, but you have Leipzig away from home immediately after, like on the Wednesday. And I would expect if you're going to get a different starting tandem, it might be that game against Genoa, even if you're away from home. Also factoring in how certain guys have been playing so far. So I think that's when you're going to see it. And you might see it this weekend if Gatti's not 100%, but it looks like he's going to be all systems go. Okay? Tim coming in here. Does Chiellini put on the boots and mentor Gatti? Man, Gatti's been... So, Yildiz with the 10 and Gatti with this armband have been like... They've both been elevated, I think. Yildiz has been getting a little bit of flack for not being able to play the wing. I've loved his performances so far. Gatti, there's nothing else to say other than he's been solid. But
No, we
what
can't
do you
say.
think? Because we haven't had Lex here. Like, the whole discussion about Yildiz not being able to play the left wing. How do you see it?
I think I definitely agree with, as you mentioned earlier. I think that any player of his quality can play anywhere across that front attack. Like, he could play left wing, he can play second striker, he can play the 10, like anywhere across that part. When you have the qualities that Yildiz has, it's more of how does the team find ways to get him in good situations? How do we make space for Yildiz? How do we get him in the places we want him to be around the box? Has less to do with the formation and more to do with that. So I mean, I love that goal he scored from that left half space coming from that area. So I think definitely for sure he can play there.
Yeah, absolutely. Anth, Omer, anything to add with Yildiz and the doubts on where he can play?
No. No, I'll just add in terms of Gatti and even Locatelli and some other guys, our main complaint last season was the inconsistency. One good game and 4 or 5 bad games. So far, almost everyone have been consistent, especially Gatti and Locatelli.
Yeah.
Who've just been glued to the starting lineup along with Cambiaso. And so far, that they haven't put a foot wrong.
Yeah.
Agreed. Agree with all of it.
What do you... There's nothing much to say. I know that there's still a healthy bunch that are just waiting for Gatti to like kind of go down the road he was last season, but he looks a new man, and there's a lot to be said about confidence that is instilled in you and rewarding and showing. Like, the guy just looks like a hard worker, man. Like, he's ready to like kill himself for the cause. All his teammates speak highly of him. When it comes to Locatelli, it's one of the things I kind of fell back on too, was why is it not translating into matches like the past couple seasons? I still felt his performances weren't as bad as people were making them out to be, but it's like, why is it not translating? How come everyone that trains with him, just like they speak about Yildiz, and they say this kid's a phenom, like he's unreal, they were talking about Loca just... Every teammate that came in and our new signings, this guy's good. Like, Loca's good. I expect Loca to be feeding me and finding the seams, and he's a great player. Why is it not translating? Now, I don't know. The vibes are good. Like I said, everybody's on the same page. It seems like everybody's kind of picking up one another. And you could tie this into the substitutes. Not just these guys, the main names like Gatti, Locatelli, and Yildiz, but McKennie coming in, having a performance like he did, that tells the other guys, like a guy like Fagioli, for instance, I've got to snap out of this. Because now in comes McKennie, and he had a strong showing. Just like that, really strong showing. Fagioli came in, and he looked good too. But that bodes well, even for those guys, and thinking, man, he just, like, we all have to stay at this level and keep each other there. If you're getting players coming in that have next to nothing for impact, that gives me feelings from last season where you look at your bench and you're like, can't go to this guy, can't go to this guy. We don't have that problem now, and that's why I think this train's just going to keep rolling and it's going to get stronger and stronger because there's not going to be complacency. That's the one thing I don't see happening.
We do
main
have
point.
a little bit.
We have what?
The names. Go ahead then.
I was just saying, and Alex P might fall off his chair. We don't have that with Vlahovic. We have no one to challenge him.
Yeah,
right?
Well, Milik will be back, and how he fits in will be interesting to see because many think his hold-up play will see him doing better.
Yeah, we need someone to challenge him.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, but also I don't know, something isn't working for me. Like Lukaku was hyped here in the chat after 4 games, and beware of that guy, and he's so good. And and like it goes both ways. Like it's 4 games in. Don't make Lukaku the best striker in the league, and don't make Dusan the worst one. Like,
Oh, they will.
yeah,
You know-
I mean, we always need a scapegoat.
Guys, it's coming up here. Luis is a mystery. We got to have a discussion about Luis.
Uh,
I wasn't buying the whole he's not fit this long into the season already now. Like it's not, we're still early in the season, but I'm not buying that whole thing. You know, not everybody is the exact same. Some people need a little bit more time to adjust. I don't know if it's interpreting the role type scenario there with Luis, or if he's caught between. Sometimes it feels like maybe he's caught between two ideas in terms of position, whether he's hanging back or he does want to be the one that pushes forward. I don't know, but he's had a couple cameos where he looked really, really slick, really, really good. And he's had a couple showings that haven't been there. So I don't know. He's different. He's definitely a contrast to the other guys. Like if I'm looking at Luis and I'm looking at Coat Miners, it's night and day. Coat Miners runs his bag off, and he does a lot of grunt work, and like on the ball, he's steady. He's got he's not scared to really spray that ball out for distribution. Luis seems hesitant. He's a lot more dribbling and twisting and turning and then short passes. It's just a different game. And I think it's about making him work with, because a lot of Mota's games is vertical in the open games, and getting vertical and especially those long switches. I think it's just going to take time. It's taken longer than we anticipated, but I'm not concerned. What do you guys think about Luis so far?
Could you imagine going from England cuisine to Italian cuisine? I would turn into a big fat bastard. You know? So, give him a minute to try and figure out his diet. He's probably just smashing tiramisu in his face every other day. So just give him a minute.
Tiramisu. Come on.
Well,
Omer, what do you think about Luis? Lex?
I mean,
go ahead, Lex.
I was gonna say, I'm happy. He's not Rabiot. What are we talking about?
Hey,
that's a Marseille legend. Don't talk like that.
How about Nico Skira laying it out on Rabiot there yesterday? Holy. He said, oh my God, that tweet should have been printed out and framed. I think actually Lou did frame it. I'm pretty sure he printed it off at the biggest size possible poster board and has it up on his wall. But Nico Skira calling it how it is, saying, look, your mom wanted a Champions League team, turned down 7 mil at Juve. Now you're at Marseille that doesn't have a sniff at any cups, and you'll be hearing the Champions League anthem from your television. Nico Skira, take a bow, son, all right? Take a bow, calling it out. Oh my God. And there was actually a couple other clubs that in the media said that their team's rep said Veronique was unbearable at the demands and the requests. So, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Have fun in Marseille. Anyways, good times. We have to laugh about it. Luis doesn't, Ant puts it all on the diet. Maybe he's right. Let's keep it rolling with Storm the Barn here. We got RB Comps up next. I don't get the people defending Vlahovic, though. I don't know what they're watching. He's looked poor in preseason and only one good game this season versus Verona. I am worried. Am I right to be concerned? I think the concerns are different for everybody, but there are concerns there.
Sure.
There are concerns. Even Ant just stated, we don't have a threat there, which isn't helping things. But Lex, are you concerned about Vlahovic?
This is tough because I still am a big supporter of Vlahovic, and I have been up until this point too. Always very positive and supportive of him. But there is, I think I tweeted this out a couple days ago, there is a question to be had about whether a more technical 9 is something that's needed for Motta's system, which I think is a fair concern. Because if we saw it with Xerxes on Bologna, And I think it's also interesting to note that Bologna had a lot of different goal scorers. So I do think that we're seeing a different role from Vlahovic and from the nine. Whereas in Allegri's system, I felt like a lot of that pressure was on our number nine, our striker, to score and carry us out of games, which Dusan did many times. But I think that in Motta's system, he calls upon goals from a lot of different areas on the pitch. And so the nine needs to take on a different role. So whatever Vlahovic is doing in the game, you still have to be effective, even if you're not that goal scoring striker that game. But I do think that, for example, in yesterday's match, when he played that assist, that through ball, like that was perfect. I felt that yesterday that was extremely effective, even though maybe, I mean, I've seen reports saying it was a good game. It was not a good game from him. I do think ultimately when you have a player of his quality and you leave him on the pitch, he does something like that, then that's your payoff for allowing him to play through some of those struggles when he makes a moment and a play happen like he did with Gonzalez. And so I think that, hey, maybe see how his link up with Gonzalez comes along. I think it's still something we need to figure out, but I do think that the concerns are valid.
Yeah, I would agree. It's tough. It's tricky because it's not just clear cut all on him. There's games where, like I said, Empoli, who do you want to praise? Like, who do you want to praise? Napoli fans are praising Lukaku. I've seen Lukaku pocketed against defenses that clamp down all the time. Night and day. Bremer will have him in his back pocket. Okay? Mm-hmm. I'm willing to bet the house on that. It's like, he's got to be stronger for me, Vlahovic. Those are some of the criticisms I have. When he's trying to be a target, he's getting beat by guys he should be physically imposing himself on. That's what I don't like to see. If you have the matchup, he needs to physically win those matchups. That's part of a struggle I think he needs to do better at. He also, there's goals he's got to be putting in. Yesterday, It's not a big deal. You're winning comfortably, but it is a big deal because we know he's affected mentally. We have the evidence because the coach has spoken about it now. And it's the third coach involved with Vlahovic that has spoken to it. He's got to figure that out. Those are my concerns. Physically, he's got to impose himself more. He's losing battles he shouldn't. The technical part, I saw improvement last season with Max. But it faded when he hit another mental roadblock. And it's like he goes back to square one. I can't see this guy going back to square one and having to build up all over again. He needs to find consistency in his game. It ain't going to happen until he's challenged. And it's going to be sink or swim for the guy. I don't think Milik is the guy to do it personally. And that might be an issue. That might be an issue. Yeah. Omer?
Go ahead, Omer.
Yes, so, okay, let's call it how it is. Dusan has some things that he's really good at and some things that he's really bad at and needs to improve. He's very good with his head. He's very good with his face to goal. Usually he's very good on one-on-ones. He's good when there's space. And he's very bad with his back to goal, hold-up play, even imposing his physicality. And those are things that he might and needs to improve. The mentality thing, I don't know. Let's see what the new psychiatrist we brought in can do. But again, I don't need him to score 25 goals to call it a good season. Like, look back at stats of guys we actually appreciate. Look at Quagliarella, look at Vucinic, look at Mandzukic. How many times have they surpassed the 20 goal mark for Juve? But they were serviceable. They helped the team build, and that's what I'm looking for with Dusan. Right now, work on your short passing. But he did have a decent game yesterday. He was heavily involved in 2 of the goals.
Yesterday he had a good game. And again, open games, I said he's not going to be a problem. It's when it's in tight, he's got to step it up. But we also have to support him. Because the Empoli game, he didn't get any support. He was left alone. And again, I've watched many other strikers fail in that same scenario. But I always remain constant. He needs to, and I hope Motta can do it, but he needs to figure out that it isn't just about scoring goals for him. And in those games where you're locked down, how do you help your teammates? Because that's what I'm not seeing. Do the other intangibles, like bring the other factors that help the rest of the team. It may be a bitch for you that game, but how do you help the others? And that's where it ends for me with Vlahovic, and I'm not seeing it. We saw Higuain struggle through games and whatnot, and all he'd do was end up picking up the ball and maybe a little 1-2 pass, sending another guy in on, like, find a way to get involved. Find a way to help the others. That's my biggest thing. But yesterday he did it. He wasn't on the score sheet yesterday, but he helped everybody. But again, open game. And these games are not the same from one to the next. All these other teams are different. There's another team on the pitch. So, Ant, I know you love him. He's your guy. Where do you stand on it? Are you concerned, though, honestly?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
Of course I am. Like, I agree with everything. This was a great analysis. Unfortunately, there's some jabronis out here who are just going to be like, he makes $20 million a year. He's got to score 4 goals a game. They won't think about it how you three have just broken it down, right? So I appreciate how you guys broken it down, but there's people out there that are just too dumb to look. They can't look past the
money's
salary. Because they'll look at that game yesterday and they'll say he didn't do anything. Well, because he makes $20 million a year. Well, okay, but look at the other things he did. So this conversation with Vlahovic is just going to go round and round and round and round. It's just going to go round and round and round until he scores 5 fucking goals a game for 6 consecutive games. And then people will be like, oh, okay, now he's earning his paycheck. So you guys all
not getting 20 million a month.
People aren't going to get it.
Yes,
there's a concern.
The wage just simply puts the Zoom
It's an
at
easy
times 100 as opposed to times 10. The Zoom, like, the scrutiny is never going to leave Juve. Like, that's what I find funny, is because I said, do you think he would get less flack if he was on a $7 million a season? I still think he would be ripped because the scrutiny never changes at Juve.
We did it to Morata. We did the exact same thing to Morata. So his paycheck, people use it as an excuse because they don't want to think about analyzing the whole game. They just be like, he didn't score today. He had an assist. He makes $20 million a year. It's an
Where the money comes into play, though, is what Giuntoli will decide in the end. And that's where the money comes into effect. So it's all relative. But sometimes the expectations in terms of the games and how they play out, we got to look at everything, all factors. But it's not promising when your coach is asked, does he disappear mentally because of these challenges and whatnot? And when he flat out says, yes, it's true. That's going to put a big fucking target on you. And I wish he didn't do that because that's just going to make it worse. And I really questioned whether he should have been that blunt about it because this guy's already struggling with it. You guys are thinking about bringing a sports psychiatrist in to help him and you flat out answer that, yeah, he does. I don't know.
He's going to score against Napoli, and then we'll flip the discussion. And
I hope he bags 3. So, concerns are valid, though. We've all kind of
he gets 20 million a year, so let's judge him when the year goes by and not after.
Oh, people can't wait that long, Omer. Oh my God, you're asking people to be patient for 8 months? No chance. So I'd be surprised if we didn't already have a sports psychologist on staff. Like, Lex, correct me if I'm wrong. Most teams do. Professional clubs have one.
They should.
Right. So, if we're just bringing one in now, like, come on, guys, it's 2024.
2024, for real. But I mean, good if they are. I think that's great. I think that's super beneficial because that plays such a big role. The mental game is huge in soccer.
I think just in sports in general.
Teams, NHL, they all have them.
I mean, it's no different than life. People need help in life just in general and their own professional careers and everything. So we'll see what happens.
Well, actually, before you get to that Pierre's question, who was the last striker that we all universally agreed on?
Nobody.
Exactly. Del Piero?
I don't think, and this is what makes me laugh. we're never going to universally agree as a fan base on anything. And that's what makes it so funny when everybody's like, oh, you know, like, you guys are down here. You guys are, oh, I like this group because they're like up here, whatever.
No. I don't agree.
Rainbows and butterflies, like, no, that's not real life, okay? Like,
yeah, that's a good point.
Okay,
actually, Tevez is probably it. Tevez might be it.
Trezeguet?
Someone has something bad to say against Mandzukic?
But listen, if you had Twitter back in the day,
they would find something.
I would honestly love to see everybody through the Del Piero after his knee injury and the struggles for like a year and a half. Totally different player. I would love to see when it came down to selling Zidane or Del Piero, Twitter back then. I bet you it would have been an absolute hellhole. But you're never going to universally agree. But Tevez is probably it. Mario, I don't think anybody had complaints about Mario. Now, Pierre.
Sorry, Pierre.
Hypothetically, if we could have spent the 50 mil on Calafiori instead of Luis.
I told you, this is going to go on for years. It's not going to end. Pierre, we love you, man. We love the shirtless photo. Like, you are one of our favorites. We talk about it all the time. But you got to let it go, man. Look what you're doing. You guys got to let this go.
Yeah.
You got to let the Calafiori thing go. Everybody together. We got to let it go. We got to let it go. Just let it go, man.
I don't know. So far, it doesn't seem like we're missing a defender.
Not a thing.
Okay.
Am I the one that doesn't love Calafiori that much? Like, I never really... I was like, okay, take it or leave it. He's got a high price tag. I don't know.
This Berto, go ahead. Now you got to walk. Go ahead, Berto.
With complete respect.
Now you're about to disrespect him. Okay, go ahead.
No. I laugh because Norby in our AJC Army members chat, he brings it up still. Ball playing center. It is not an issue, and he knows that it drives me nuts, and he does it on purpose. There is absolutely no way I don't strengthen the midfield as much as possible for a manager whose midfield is critical to his game. Period. 50 million for Calafiori, for me, he is not worth 50 million. He is not worth 50 million. He wasn't at that point. 25 to 30, yeah, let's do it. When it jumped to 50, no, out. And right now in this game, the way we were playing, if you're still hung up on a ball playing center back, I think you're hung up on the wrong issue. We have two hurdles to break with Mota. That's low D lines, and it is how to maintain our position strongly while being aggressive and winning that ball back. Those are the two hurdles. Yesterday, who switched the field the most for us? The guys I said we should be looking to. Our midfield. Colt Miners did it to perfection. You do not need one designated position to do this. Those that say we need the ball playing center back because any team that presses us, we're going to get stuck in the back. Nobody can press you for an entire match. It's impossible. It is impossible to do so. And the guys, the way we're building out as a unit, it's working out just fine. We're not pinned in our end. We have no issues getting into the attacking end. We've had no problems with that. We've been pinned back occasionally for a brief moment in time in games, and sometimes we have to go route one. But it's not like we don't figure it out and still build up through there. This is a non-issue. I'm done with the Calafiori stuff, guys.
Is he starting over Bremer or Gatti at this point?
No.
Oh, he's not starting over Saliba and someone else.
So, with all due respect.
With all due respect.
Please.
Put a shirt.
No more Calafiori unless you want to see me have a jammer live on air. Okay. Now.
Kool-Aid jammer?
I love Dusan and definitely wouldn't want him to go, but if we can sell him for around 70 million next summer and get I can't even read this name right now. It's like, I don't know what's going on the screen. What?
Sure.
Oh,
yes.
Gyökeres. Would you do it? He is a monster and has a playstyle similar to CR7. I'm going to tell you right now, on selling Dusan, I'm not making any calls on selling any of these guys 4 games into a season, 1 game in the Champions League. Let's wait till it gets closer. I'm not making a decision on selling anybody. You guys, 70 mil.
No, we have said in the summer that this is Dusan's season to prove that he's worth the money paid for, and if not, then we should say goodbye. 70 million in the summer if he has a bad season, yeah.
No way. There's no way he'll make that. Get asked for that much money.
Yeah, if he has a bad season, no one offers 70 million. Look at
No chance.
the Chiesa situation. But hypothetically, 70 million, yeah, I'd probably sell.
That's a lot of Chicoria. Even
Lex,
I'd be
70 mil. Would you sell him?
Like 4
Me
Garudas.
next summer?
You
If
and
he has
Lex,
less
yeah,
than-
70 mil. It's in the summer. It's there. You sell him.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's his
Yeah.
agent too. Jesus, Lex.
I mean,
You can buy 3 players for that.
that's so hypothetical because I don't think anyone's coming with that money. But I mean,
True.
hard to say no.
Yeah, the
Some
only
goes
way
hard
someone is
for
coming up with that money is that he's having a phenomenal season.
Exactly. And then
We're
it'd be
not selling him.
Yeah, Jonathan David in there, not as a Dusan replacement. You guys, I'm in
Settle
Canada.
down.
I'm telling you, not as a Dusan replacement. As a
agree.
vice. Yeah, but I'm telling you, how many Scudetti would you give up for a Champions League? None. We take them both. That's my
We
answer.
have like 19 to spare, right?
I'm not.
Or anyone gets close. I don't know.
I'd give
Four?
a couple for a couple Champions Leagues.
Not
Four,
give
I
up
guess.
one.
I'd give up some of the Super Copas. We don't need those. They're just taking up space. I give up some of those ones.
I'm not gonna give up anything. We're just gonna take the son of a bitch. That's what we're gonna do. Okay? Not giving up any. Tuna steaks. Let's go.
Yes.
I was waiting for tuna steaks. If Milik trains well back from injury, do you start him against Napoli? No. I'm just
Yes.
gonna say no.
No.
Lex,
After a
Yeah.
starting him
nothing.
No.
Are you serious? I'm the only one who would start Milik. Yes, I'd start him.
against
Against
Napoli.
Yep.
No, not
You know
after
what?
like
Pushed here.
for 3 months. He's been out for 3 months with injury,
It's been out.
right? Since
He'll be out by half time.
Euros.
Has he even like we're talking about training well? I don't think he's trained with the group and this Malta system. Period. Like that, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do
I don't
that,
think I've seen him in the training videos.
man. I saw him at the stadium
No.
wearing the new third kit, hanging out. Thoughts on McKennie's surprising performance? We gave a lot of praise there for Big Mac. I think it also speaks a lot to just in general. Remember all those concerns about these guys that weren't in the project and all that, and oh man, you can't do that. You devalue all your players, etc. And then it's like you don't know what their plan actually is. And the guys that have been called back they don't have any problems. They're all being professional about it. It's business, right?
Okay. Are we at the point now where we should not be surprised by McKennie doing this?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like he came in and had a good performance. Like why are we surprised by that? He's had good performances in the past. Like why
I'm
are we all
surprised-
surprised like he played well?
I'm surprised because last year his performances, like for me, were always lacking in the middle. He was good on the outside. And I thought this year, if we were going to use him, it would be as like a fallback on the outside. So, and based on his first showing in the middle this year, I am actually surprised at yesterday how good he looked. I'm surprised.
Okay.
That's just me.
Yeah. First game, I think his abilities suited that game. I think Mota knew it. He got into the area a lot. That's what was missing against Roma and Empoli. Like Dusan was there on an island. And he also tracked back a lot. I mean, McKennie is an engine. He gets up and down all game long. And yesterday it proved to be crucial, proved to be very useful. If he would have finished with a brace, what can we say? So it's a nice thing to have in our arsenal when we need it.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. There you go. Adam, which Juventus player do you want to succeed the most? All of them. But
Vlahovic.
God,
what's that?
I want Dusan. I want, yes.
Dusan, yeah.
Yes.
We're all rooting for Vlahovic. We all like the guy. Like I think he really, really like gives a shit, and I think that's why it affects him so much because he wants it so badly. That's just my gut. So
I agree with that.
Dusan. What is Douglas Luiz? Is Douglas Luiz all flash and no substance? I don't think so.
Lex?
I'm gonna say no, but Lex.
No, I don't think so. I think time. You just need time for this one. I think it's just too early to pass judgment on Douglas Luiz still. For me.
Yeah, maybe he's having trouble adjusting just to Serie A and the way they play. And maybe he's a bit out of form. I don't know, but he hasn't played a whole lot. I haven't seen him for 90 minutes.
Fresh air, you know. You live somewhere where there's fresh air now. Like, you know,
If
all that
it's-
stuff kind of takes its toll.
Like, of all the guys, and we bring up concerns and everything, if Malta's truly going based on merit, what the fuck is this guy that we spent 52 million on not able to get in for? Like, it's a little bit unsettling. So,
Agreed.
but I think in the end he'll come good because I do believe in his quality. So I wouldn't say he's all flash, no substance. Like, you don't get the numbers over the course of years in the Prem that he had. You don't get that if you're just all flash. So he's got to step. Even like one of the best part of his games was struggling against Empoli, his set pieces. He's money on those, and he wasn't even really sending good ones in. They ended up sending Cope Miners in for short ones and getting Cope to cross in. So it tells me something's not quite right there. So we'll see what happens, but I'm not terribly concerned now. Pino coming in here. Could Dusan play the role of a decoy to draw attention and open up space for others if you play them close enough to him? Our 10 is everywhere. We're doing more of a 4-1-4-1 with two Metsalas, and Cope is free roam. The thought has been put out there to partner Gonzalez with him. I'm not against that, but it totally changes the dynamic of what makes Malta's system effective. I don't know. Could he do that? Well, he's got to figure it out. His hold-up play's got to get way better if he's going to do that. I don't know. Anything to add, you guys? No? Okay, keep it rolling. Miran, what's a fair expectation for league's top earner by a landslide over 3 to 5 years? What's a fair expectation for Dusan, essentially, over 3 to 5 years? I'm trying to make out this question in exactly what a fair expectation in terms of output, in terms of solely goals, or in terms of performances. Like, it doesn't. Omer said it doesn't have to equate to just goals, right?
How many months last year did he win Player of the Month for us? I don't know, a lot. How many goals did he score for us last year? All of them.
Almost.
Like what more did we need here?
I think he'll come good. We just let's wait and see. Little word. How does the bearded banana feel about? Come on, it's kind of funny with the yellow jack.
I think Luca started that.
I think Luca did. And guys, all I'm gonna say: never follow Luca's lead. No good will come of that.
Oh my god.
No good will come of that. Okay. How does the beer banana feel about seeing Morata in a Milan jersey? Oh, and I don't think he's even wearing the jersey. He's injured.
Yeah, I totally forgot he went there because I don't watch. I still wish he would have came. Like, do people not wish he would have came to Juventus now to help back up Vlahovic?
If he was healthy, I would have liked him. At 12 mil, I would have liked him.
Oh, but no, we don't.
I was in the few.
Okay. Oh, but to answer the question, I don't give a shit because I don't watch other teams. So, whatever.
There you go. Mota's problem. Okay. So when we play a defensive team like Roma or Empoli, he struggles. Yes. Unlike when we play an attacking team who gives us open spaces, we demolish them, which is a good sign. It is a good sign. Overall, it's a good sign. You want teams to surrender the ball to you so you can control it. You just have to know what to do with it. You are 1,000% right. Mainly because we all share that same theory. So, yes. Congratulations. How old is Ant? Oh, my God.
That's all this time.
Triple digits,
DC.
Everybody. Believe it or not.
Timeless. That's the answer. I'm timeless. And no, I don't dye my beard or my hair.
The theory has been floating around.
I know. No, there's gray in here. You can see it. It's in there. But no.
So what would be his original hair color if he's dyeing his
Funny
hair?
enough, I didn't get the grays until I started doing shows with this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll put it this way. I am almost twice as old as Lex.
There you go. Listen.
Pretty much twice.
Do you guys have any Storm the Barn, anything we need to get to before we kind of sign off? We still have a little bit of time. Ant had a great one earlier. Lex, do you have anything you wanted to discuss or any questions?
I do have some before you guys have one. Everyone's talking about the goals against in Champions League. All right. Okay, we let one in. So we also have to score goals. So Lex pointed out we should have 6 or 7. So let's not forget, okay, the goals against, but we also have to put the ball into the other net. So if we scored 6 yesterday, then that one wouldn't have mattered. So let's just pump the brakes on the goals against. Let's focus on the ball.
Yeah, Bayern scored 9 and conceded 2.
Unbelievable.
That was a close game. What a game. Holy smokes. Yeah. Barn burner there.
How about
my friend Stefan there, big Dinamo Zagreb fan. I got to do a health check on him today. I wanted to wait a little bit, but I got to do a health check there on Stefan from Coffee with Cards.
Did they get a red card? Was there a red card in that game? Or 3?
It would have been a better look for them if there was, but...
there wasn't. Oh.
Yeah, no, that was straight up a tightly contested matchup there. But Stuttgart having some of us second guess if that's going to be a decent one because they actually played Madrid quite well. Probably hard done by to not have some goals in there for their favor, but yeah, we'll see. Omer, any questions, anything you want to touch on?
What do you think about Thuram getting pantsed during the match? Did you catch that?
What?
Thuram had his shorts pulled down.
Oh yeah,
like all the way. You remember that?
I run the main account during the games, and that is an absolute zoo. So I miss stuff like that. I wish I had saw that, but
I watched the game on replay last night too, and I missed it. When?
I missed it live, but
I've seen it live. Someone just undressed him, just caught him by his pants and just pulled him down.
Who's the someone though? Like, what do you mean? Like player sideline?
A player during the match, like he fouled him by taking his pants down. Haven't you caught that? That was hilarious.
Was it Luca? What the hell?
I'll send you a photo.
Lord.
Listen, remember the days of tearaways, Anth?
Oh my God.
Remember the tearaway track pads? Holy Christ. So I'll never forget. We had this club. It was called the Max, and it was perfect for college nights because they do buck a beer, but I never drank that crap because I know where the cups end up. Anyways, they had a foosball table there. We'd always rock the foosball, play, have a good time. Our one buddy decides he's wearing track pants. I literally said to him when we left, I go, "Are you wearing those out?" He goes, "Yeah." I'm like, "That's a bad idea." So he's up dancing like by the DJ, whatever, and there's like a dance floor is packed and there's girls are around him, whatever. And our one buddy runs by him. I knew it was going to happen. Sure as shit. Rips him off. He not only decided to wear track pants to the club, he decided to go commando. And there it was. Boom. right there for the whole dance floor to take a look. But it was hilarious. I'll never forget that epic moment. But the track pants, tearaways, those were a terrible idea. Whoever the hell came up with them. But I'll never let my buddy live that down. You're a complete moron, brother. And I know you're watching, but you're a complete moron for wearing them to the club. All right?
Yeah,
and go
did, like,
commando.
NBA players coming off the bench, they'd whip them off. But it doesn't look good when you're no.
I like when they get stuck too, and then they're just looking like, they're just like, can't get that last couple.
Button.
Oh my god, clown shows.
Down
Clown
by the
shows.
ankle.
Well,
Just
I sent you a photo of the
One of our players with his pants down. Great, thank you,
No,
Omer.
the player. Yeah, I mean, you told me you liked it a few months ago.
I
don't know what changed.
appreciate I appreciate that one, Omer. All right, everybody,
Happy, buddy.
listen. I'm gonna keep you in the loop on the news. You guys have been great as always. We love our victory shows, okay, and this one was no different. Sure, a few concerns. Hey, we don't want to get too high, but just like we said with Empoli, don't get too low. Work in progress, but I could comfortably say that it's not a personnel issue. I believe in the players we have brought in. Let them continue to grow together as a unit. We have a big one this weekend. I'm going to be bringing you the live watch along. I apologize I couldn't do one yesterday. It would have been a fantastic one to have a watch along, but this Saturday's is going to be big. Okay, Napoli, and hopefully we can smack them right in the face because they deserve it. All right, but I expect Conte to play a brutal game. Let's see if Motta figures it out. As far as lineups, what would you guys do? I want to hear from Lex first, what she would do up top, in the middle, back line. How do you line us up against Napoli before we completely sign off? It's my Storm the Barn.
Oh man, wow, this is a tough one. It's gonna be a test on Saturday. I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be tough. I think backline, I'm keeping the same back four from the Champions League game. I think, I don't know, just, is it too basic to say roll the same starting 11?
As the Champions League game, no, you could. Just roll about the same.
Gonna roll the same.
With McKennie? Yeah?
Yeah, I'll roll out the same.
Okay. Omer, any changes from you?
Lots of head scratchers. I don't know why. Maybe McKennie's the only one I'll switch, but mainly due to tactical reasons, not because he wasn't good or anything. I just think Thuram's physicality would be massive in midfield against Conte.
Man, yeah, I'm thinking maybe in the mid, just one other change. If he can go from the start, I would play Thuram and Locatelli there with Coat Miners ahead. I would. Because Conte floods the midfield, and having those two guys in there solidifying things should help us. And we can bomb the outsides. Keep those guys back with the CBs to help and bomb. Get Cambiasso advanced. Get Kalulu advanced like we did yesterday. And let them help the attack. I would probably only make that change. But Skanga, keep it the same?
I wouldn't. Then we got a week off to Genoa, right? It's a full week. Yeah. So roll with the same amount of players as you could from the last game. McKennie.
Same lineup. Woo! There you go.
I would probably switch McKennie, but whatever Motta does, he's going to shock us anyways. He's going to put somebody in there we're not expecting.
Yeah, even in one competition with Bologna, he made changes, so I don't expect the exact same lineup, not from Motta. And it's still interesting and cool watching him go through this because you just never know. There's no patterns. There's nothing we can pick up on yet. No trends because it's so soon. But I look forward to it. And he caught me with McKennie, and McKennie rewarded him. So whatever you're doing, Motta, keep doing it. I'm with you, all right? You guys know the drill. Like the video on your way up. We had over 100 here consistently the whole show. Get those likes up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share the content. Join our memberships on a desktop. We want to see you in the private chat so you can bring up ball-playing center backs with me, okay?
Oh my God,
I love that
you
discussion. But you guys are great. Lex, Omer, Skanga, an absolute pleasure, as always, to share this victory with you. We move on to Napoli now. As always, everybody, fino alla fine. Forza Juventus. Ciao tutti. Enjoy the rest of your weeks.
Set the tone.
Yeah.